Hey everyone, this is Cameron from CryptoCam. Hope everybody's having a fabulous day today. Now I'm back. I've been away for a couple of weeks on vacation, playing a little golf, having a good time, but now I'm going to come back strong and get back into cryptocurrencies, BitConnect, all the wonderful things out there in the cryptosphere. So we're going to talk about what's happening with Bitcoin and its recent surge above $7,000. As you can see, currently it's at 69.53 now. Earlier today, it did surpass around the $7,300 level for the first time, which is absolutely amazing. So what's going on? Well, lots of positive things are happening here in the crypto world. So let's go ahead and look at the Forbes article here. Now titled Bitcoin reaches new highs after futures announcement. Now I did talk about back a little while ago how the CFTC, the Commodities Futures Commission, was looking into doing Bitcoin futures. Now the CME group, which is the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, is going to launch a Bitcoin futures platform later this year. Now that is a really big announcement. The reason why it's such a big announcement is it's going to bring Bitcoin and potentially other cryptocurrencies into the mainstream fold. Okay, so we're coming closer and closer to becoming more mainstream from being the wild west of the cryptocurrency world. So it is definitely a positive thing. Now it says here Bitcoin prices reached a fresh all-time high earlier today, extending their gains after exchange operator CME Group announced plans to launch Bitcoin futures later this year. The digital currency's price rose to as much as 6629 today, according to CoinDesk. At this level, Bitcoin prices have climbed roughly 580%. So, as you can see, it's going to further certain market observers even warned that taking Bitcoin and wrapping it up in a financial product reminded them of how financial institutions package mortgages into debt-based securities leading up to the financial crisis. Now, I don't think we have anything to fear about that because that's not going to bring down the housing market or crash the worldwide markets or anything like that. So it's definitely not going to have any global implications. In fact, I think it's going to be positive. So we've got hedging opportunities. Several analysts spoke to the new hedging opportunities that will be created when Bitcoin futures come into existence. Institutional investors, companies looking to accept Bitcoin as payments, and even retail investors could potentially leverage Bitcoin futures in order to manage risk. David Johnson, CEO of Ethereum, a tasking platform that pays its users in cryptocurrency, spoke to how these financial instruments could make it easier for companies to accept Bitcoin as payments. So what's going to happen here as we move into a more regulated environment and we get futures trading in Bitcoin, it's going to be viewed as a very positive thing. More and more people are wanting to accept Bitcoin as payments. There are going to be more payment solutions in Bitcoin. You'll be able to buy more things in Bitcoin: houses, cars, boats, you name it, luxury goods, groceries. It's all coming soon, in cryptocurrencies. So this just, is giving us a little bit more of a foothold into, becoming a more of a mainstream accepted, currency. And it's happening. We're rolling forward. The CME group, is a massive group. I mean, they're probably one of the largest futures exchanges out there. So if they're getting into it, then there's going to be others following. We should see some ETFs coming out, and maybe some put call contracts and things like that, being introduced as well. Where you can just buy these. By contracts as well in cryptocurrencies. Brad Chern, Chief Investment Officer of hedge fund, shuttle fund advisor, offered a robust derivatives market is the key to mass business adoption of cryptocurrencies in general. He said, in order for someone to use it for trade, finance, or other commercial purposes, they will need to be able to hedge for price volatility to the index-based currency of trade, whether it be US dollars or something else. So, yeah, I think we're going to have a few contracts and put call contracts, option contracts, as well in these cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, etc. So it's a really good article, a lot of great information here about it. Great progress. Several analysts lauded CME's announcement, praising it as a great progress for broader digital currency industry. CME's announcement represents Bitcoin crossing the divide from the wild, wild west, just like I said, of finance, to the mainstream, said Charles Hader, co-founder and CEO of Leverage Digital Currency Platform. I mean, we are just going to see the price of Bitcoin skyrocket. It's going to happen, guys. It's going to happen. There's no doubt about it. We've already seen it happen so far. It's absolutely gone ballistic. So that leads me on to this great next segment from Bloomberg, which we're going to play here about Bitcoin. And let's listen in and hear what the chief of the CME, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, says about the introduction of Bitcoin futures. So take a listen here, very interesting, and we will talk to you later.
The CME getting in on the Bitcoin action. In a change of policy, the world's biggest exchange owner announced it plans to introduce Bitcoin futures by year end. The cryptocurrency jumped on the news, reaching an all-time high of more than $6,400. Let's bring in CME Chairman and CEO Terry Duffy now to discuss. And Terry, this is huge news because for so many people who are enamored by Bitcoin and want to trade it, this seems like the biggest institutional endorsement of Bitcoin that we've seen yet. Not so long ago, though, you were kind of cautious on Bitcoin derivatives. So for a lot of people, it can seem like a 180. What changed? What made you decide to launch these futures products?
Well, Scarlett, first, thanks for having me on. And this is kind of trivial news compared to what you just reported on earlier, what's going on in Lower Manhattan. So our thoughts and prayers go out to all those that are affected by another senseless act that's happened. So that being said, I'll proceed with your question. And, you know, first of all, CME Group is always looking to bring new products to the marketplace. And we have seen a pent-up demand by clients for, you know, quite some time now, Scarlett. And this is a story that just hasn't gone away. So constantly getting calls from clients about how we're going to list this product. And, you know, I was not as excited about the product, to your point earlier. But then when you look at the way our model works and what we can apply to that to this product, I think it's a lot different than some of the naysayers that are talking about cryptocurrencies and the way they trade today, who trades them, what they're being used for. So ours will be on a regulated platform overseen by the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. It will be under our risk controls that we have in place here at CME. So we have our margin rules in place. We'll have our functionality with our electronic systems in place. And then, of course, our clearing mechanism. Those are all things that are completely different than the way the cryptos are traded today. And we will have an index that, you know, we feel that will be very, very credible and will reflect the true value of that price. So that's why we're excited about this product and the launch of it.
Terry, one thing that makes Bitcoin unique is that what we call Bitcoin today may not be Bitcoin tomorrow. There are forks, there are spin-offs, all kinds of things you don't get with a typical, say, commodity or currency like gold or the yen. Have you figured out how you're going to work through these things should more forks occur in the future?
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. So there's a meeting coming up in the coming weeks, as you're aware, Joe, and we are going to see how one of those forks comes into play, and then we may have to make a couple different contract spec design changes. But that's one of the things that we do really well here is we can go ahead and make the contract spec changes. And one of the other things, Joe, that I think is really important when it comes to this contract, traditional futures contracts normally trade out over a curve. I think when you look at this particular product, you're going to see most of the trade up front. So you won't have the problem of making contract spec changes because you won't have open interest in the deferred months going out. So example being our Eurodollar contract, you have open interest going out 10 years and 40 quarters. I don't see that being the same nuance with this particular product.
Terry, another factor is it's clear that a lot of people want to invest in Bitcoin or they want to speculate or trade Bitcoin. But what about the other side, the hedgers, the people? Who do you see is playing that role for economic reasons in your market?
You know, it's really interesting because, first of all, we have 1,146 currencies in the world today that are all doing a whole host of different things. But you look at just certain companies looking to create potentially their own currencies for their own particular products. Maybe Starbucks comes up with a Starbucks currency because that will help increase their business. So I think the institutional side, people will be looking at ways to make more efficiency of their payment methods. And if they see Bitcoin as a way to do it, that's it. There's other people that own the product today. They would be the natural, the short sellers of this. And there's other people that will be on the long side because they think the valuation is too cheap or they'll think it's too high. But this will give people the ability to participate in a product on a regulated platform that they have not had that opportunity to do for to date.
Terry, Jamie Dimon quite famously called Bitcoin a fraud here, and you've sort of alluded to your own perhaps concerns about this in the past. Do you see this as legitimizing the trading of cryptocurrencies in some way, legitimizing Bitcoin?
I'm not quite sure, when Jamie's referring to it as a fraud or the tulips crisis, I think is what he referred to it as. Again, as I said at the beginning of my comments here, I think that is in the way the market is looked at today and who is using it and why they were using it. That's not the purpose that we're looking to use it for tomorrow. When you're on a highly regulated platform, you have to come through one of our FCMs. There's a whole host of other mechanisms and procedures and protocols and regulations to trade our marketplace versus the people that are using it today in the cash market. So again, I think Jamie's comments, and I didn't speak to Jamie about this, were more referring to those different participants. So when you look at the model that we're going to apply to it, I think it's a bit different.
Terry, but just going back, so if this takes off and there are more futures and maybe an ETF at some point, this will create a lot of liquidity in the market. But the uses of Bitcoin are largely about subverting or doing payments that the government doesn't want us to do or regulators don't want us to do and all sorts like that. Are you concerned about the fact that an established financial institution will bring liquidity to a market whose main purpose is to subvert the existing financial system?
Well, first of all, I would never be part of anything that subverts the government and the financial system. So that's not what we're trying to do here. We're going to bring transparency to this marketplace, and we'll also have the audit function associated with this marketplace. So anybody that's participating in the Bitcoin trading of CME will have an instant audit trail to the government regulator to make sure that the things that you just outlined do not happen. That's what the difference is in our offering versus the way it is today. So they can't circumvent those procedures that you referred to with the government under our model.
Terry, you talked about when you began this pent-up demand for this product that you're catering to. Can you give us any sense of just what that pent-up demand looks like and the kind of volumes of trading you're expecting once this product's up and running?
It's really hard to predict what the volumes are going to be. I get a lot of calls from clients on both sides of the trade, and they're looking for this particular product to be launched out there. But you got to remember, this is a $100 billion market. This is not a multi-trillion-dollar market like the foreign exchange or other markets. So it's a smaller market in general. So we're going to have to wait and see how people want to participate into it. So like any other futures contract, you're going to need, people on both the natural longs and natural shorts, and you're going to need the speculators to make it successful. But what that translates into volumes is I'm not going to predict at all.
Terry, final question to you. Timing-wise, Julia almost sang a song. It is Bitcoin's 9th birthday. Bitcoin trading at a record high. It reached $6,416. There's a lot of concern that it's in a bubble. Cryptocurrencies in general are in a bubble. Do you see any sign of that at all? What gives you pause here when you look at the price?
And nothing gives me pause when I look at prices, Scarlett. I think that's really what we're supposed to do here is manage risk. We're not supposed to decide what the price of any particular product is. So I've seen a lot of different bubbles over the last 37 years as I've been in this business, but it's not up for me to predict if it's a bubble or not. So you could talk about the housing bubble, you could talk about the tech bubble, you could talk about a whole host of things. What I'm here to do is to help people manage risk, and we're to do it in the most effective way under a regulated platform. So whether crude oil was at $137 a barrel going to 26, or cryptocurrencies are trading at $6,400 or $6,400, that's not for me to make that decision of what the valuation is. We're here to manage that risk. And the level doesn't matter.
Real quickly, we just have a couple of seconds. Can you tell us what the size of a contract, the leverage limits, and the volatility limits will be?
Yeah, again, we have not put out those details as of yet. We're working with our regulator to finalize all those details, which we'll have out relatively shortly. So I'm not prepared to give you those right now.
Hi there, thanks for watching another great video from CryptoCam. So if you like this video, please give us a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button below now. To make sure you receive the latest content from our channel, tap the bell icon by it. See you soon, bye!